Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pro Tapes and Specialties is the world leader in tape manufacturing and specialty conversion with over 40 years of experience. In addition to our pro brand of high-quality specialty adhesive tapes, we provide contract converting services that help improve your profitability, streamline your supply chain, and reduce inventory cost. We offer the most complete range of converting capabilities in the industry, such as cloth tape, double-coated tape, specialty tape, paper tape, masking tape,
vinyl tape, carton sealing tape, adhesive transfer tape, duct tape, foam tape, electrical tape, filament tape, foil tape, reflective tape.
And the tape just keeps on rolling. Visit us online today at www.protapes.com or call us at 800-345-0234. Pro Tapes, it's just how we roll.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneur Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. You are going to be delighted by brother man today, my man, Dwaine Williamson. Talk to me, sir. How are you?
Doing well, Kevin. Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So when I first started the podcast, and I must apologize, you were someone that I wanted to have on the show. Because prior to the podcast, man, you and I would chop it up, and you were just so informative with your information, you know, as we were sitting down at the smokehouse or just having a cigar. But also, in full disclosure, you have served as my attorney on several occasions, so I want to thank you for that as well. so let's,
absolutely, it was my pleasure to do both.
so let's get started, man. Right. Who is Dwaine? How did you become Dwaine Williamson, attorney at law? How did you become all of that? Where did it start?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I'm trying to think where to begin. Well, I'll give you the shorter version. I can't say the short version.
Yeah.
But immigrated to this country when I was a child. Originally from Jamaica.
Yes.
Actually, this is the fourth country I lived in. We jumped around for a little bit. Then we settled in this wonderful town called Trenton, New Jersey, because my aunt had met a tourist from Hightstown.
Yes.
So before that, we didn't know anybody in the whole country, actually.
Yes.
For that matter. So I had the pleasure of growing up in Trenton, attended Trenton Public Schools, Jefferson. I grew up on 5th Street right off MLK Boulevard, which
yes.
was just Princeton Avenue back then. Attended Jefferson Elementary, Junior 1, Trenton High. After Trenton High, went down to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., got a Bachelor of Science in Foreign Service, majoring in international politics.
But
went on Wall Street for a number of years.
You're moving too fast. You're moving too fast. So listen, I mean, I appreciate you making it sound so nonchalant, but how did you? First of all, how did you make that transition from Trenton High to Georgetown? Because that's an Ivy League school, right? So I mean, obviously you had good grades.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was tough, man. I mean, I gotta admit, when I got to Georgetown, it was like a whole new world.
Okay.
And it was actually kind of intimidating at first. I go to school with, like everybody went to school, all famous people's kids. I mean, literally, I could rattle off the names of people we see on TV.
Yes.
Stuff like that, major politicians. I mean, Joe Biden's son. I mean, went to school with Hunter and all these folks. And,
yes.
It was royalty. King of Spain now.
Yes.
Prince of Greece. I went to school with all these folks. And
yes.
And what was interesting was I found out that, well, as much as I love Trenton High, there's a lot more preparation that was needed. I'm not going to say they didn't prepare me well. I'm going to say there's many more things to function at that level. So I had to do a very, very fast and hard, painful learning curve. I'll put it that way, right?
Yes.
But very painful learning curve. Blood, sweat, and tears, bro. But the other thing I found out was none of these folks are smarter than any of us.
Yes.
it's just that it is grew up in a different environment and got indoctrinated a different way. Got socialized a different way.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, folks went to Lawrenceville School. I went to a bunch of folks who went to Lawrenceville School there. I'm just thinking of local schools here.
Yeah.
Of course, all the big names: Phillips Exeter, Andover, Deerfield, Rosemary Hall, all these big, national prep schools.
Yes.
But what I found out, they're no smarter than us, man. They're smarter than the same men and women I knew growing up on Vine Street and growing up going to Junior One with. It's just that they grew up in a different environment and got socialized a a lot differently in many cases, unfortunately. But was able to finish it in 4 years, thank God. I worked on Wall Street for a number of years.
Yes.
Then went back to law school, and here I am.
Okay,
Did law school, got my doctorate at Rutgers and doctorate in law at Rutgers, and passed the bar the first time, thank God. And so back, moved to Princeton many years ago, but kept the law office here in Trenton since 2010. So most of my daylight hours actually spent in Trenton.
Yeah.
Lived in Princeton for a number of years, and became the elected official there, councilman in Princeton. And I gotta stop you again.
The reason why I've got you on the show is because you're so informative. You are going through this conversation, your life, like this is a racetrack. You talked about, I want to go back to Wall Street now. So you graduate from Georgetown. What made you interested in Wall Street? What was so exciting about Wall Street that you said, I've got to go there?
Well, when I was growing up in Trenton,
yes.
A friend of mine turned me on to this program called Inroads.
Yes.
It's a group out of Chicago that basically tries to get what they consider promising college students from the inner cities to get into corporate America.
Yes.
Excuse me. So while I was at Georgetown during the summers, I used to work for Merrill Lynch up in Plainsboro and Somerset.
Yes.
And so the beginning of my senior year in college, when everyone was scrambling trying to find a job, Merrill Lynch called me and they gave me a really nice job offer in their management training program.
Yes.
For senior management. We call it Junior Executive Training Program. And so I did that for a number of years, became a stockbroker for Merrill, ended up switching over, going over to their main competitor. Well, I worked for Merrill maybe 6 years total.
Yes.
I had an internet company for a couple of years back in the late 90s. Then I ended up going over to when my capital started running kind of dry. And unfortunately, I called the tail end of that whole big wave.
Yes.
I worked for Merrill's main competitor called Salomon Barney in Manhattan.
Yes.
So I had to commute to Manhattan every day. I was actually there during 9/11, which was interesting.
What?
Which was very, very, very surreal. Yeah, it was very surreal. I was working in Manhattan at the time, so I witnessed all of that, man. It was probably the weirdest day of my life, man.
Wow.
put it bluntly. Saw some interesting things, man. I'm like, wow, it's seared in your mind, bro. It's seared in your mind. And then after that, actually, that's when I made the decision that I also my initial plan was to go to law school straight out of undergrad.
Yes.
But because I got this pretty nice job, I took it.
Yes.
But after 9/11, working on Wall Street, it looks fun and stuff. To get the glitter and the lights,
Yes.
big lights. It was a big city and bright lights or whatever.
Yeah.
But the actual work is boring to me. Boring. I wasn't really into it like that, and
Okay.
it wasn't really what I wanted for the rest of my life. So after 9/11, I was like, this is a good time to transition. I said, I'm going to go back to law school,
Yes.
as I intended to do straight from undergrad over 10 years earlier.
Okay.
So that's what I did, and so here I am. Yeah.
Wow. So let's go back to 9/11. Were you at work on time when all of this?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I didn't work in the towers though. I didn't work in the towers. I worked in Midtown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened? It's interesting because I was a stockbroker. Every morning, these economists come on and they say what they think the market's going to look like before the market opens at 9:30, right?
Yes.
So of course the first plane hit right before. The two men that were on that system actually work on Greenwich Street, like a block from the towers.
Wow.
So we're sitting there listening to them. All of a sudden, they usually talk about something real boring. You never really actually listen to them. It's like, well, the yen is going to trade at. Wait a minute, the plane just hit the tower? That's what you heard the guy say, right? They're like right there.
Yeah.
And then the whole conversation starts going, wait, it sounds like it's on fire, right?
Yeah.
So I pulled up the internet, right? I went to CNN.com. And it's funny, it's weird because they didn't have a story yet. All they had was one of the smoke coming out of one of the buildings,
Yes.
right? But they said no story. They think there was an accident. They said it looks like a plane accidentally hit one of the towers,
Yes.
right? And I was looking at the picture. I said I kid you not, I said it to the other my fellow brokers when we have our trading desk, other brokers. I was like, yo, that's not an accident. Look, it hit the dead center. I said, man, this is Osama bin Laden. This is Al Qaeda, man. So I said, watch the building blow up. I said, I bet there's a bomb on that plane, right? First of all, I didn't realize the plane disintegrated in the building.
Yeah.
This is before the second plane hit, and all those dudes, like, it's mostly men. It's very male type of testosterone driven type place. A few females. Every other word is an F word.
Yeah.
You know, who's the F has been none? What the F is okay? Dwaine Williamson. And of course, there's only one or two brokers. When I was at Merrill, Smith Barney, 60, 80 brokers. Only one or two of us was black.
Gotcha.
I don't know. There's some unwritten rule where you can't have more than two black brokers, I guess. These officers, man, which is kind of weird. And then my boy left. I left at Merrill, my boy was the only black one.
Yes.
Then when I was at Smith Barney, when the other black broker he left, I was the only black one at one point. Anyway,
so you became the token.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, I don't know what I'm saying. And the funny thing is, I'm not gonna say I'm smarter than the rest of them.
Yes.
But I passed exams that even my management had trouble passing, and they're all shocked when I passed it.
Wow.
You actually passed the options and commodities exam?
Yeah.
What do you mean that's I actually passed it? Well, I couldn't pass it. Well, I knew it was a hard exam. Yeah, and I passed it the first time with 90-something%.
Wow.
I mean, literally, it was like that. But yet these dudes are making like $500,000 a year.
Wow.
600. I kid you not. I mean, it's the strangest thing, man. You know, and I was like, that whole world is just a different world. And It's like, you see some dudes that don't seem too bright. They wear nice suits.
Yes.
But yet they're making $1 million a year. And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Hell?
Tell me, but that's racism on another level.
Yeah.
That's subtle racism on another level. Anyway, so I called it before the second plane hit. And witnessed all that. Just crazy, man. Just looking at people looking like zombies with the gray soot covering them.
Yes.
And I'm like looking at, I felt like I was in a movie.
Yes.
When the first building collapsed.
Yes.
I saw this gray cloud going up in front of me, right?
Yes.
I thought it was a storm cloud. It was a hot day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, where's the storm come from? I saw this grayness, like it just rising. I call it God pulling up a curtain. But It was a straight line across, and it's going up. And then one of my boys was like, nah, man, the South Tower just fell. I was like, give me the South Tower. How's a big old tall building going to fall? Right?
Yeah.
I was like, man, y'all be talking. And like I said, every other word is profanity, but I'm not going to put that on your show. So that's just how they talk here. Yeah, right. I don't know. This is how it is at the trading floor. And it's a bunch of like Italian guys, Jewish guys. Literally just that was. It was really interesting. You know what I mean? And then some of the time, no, this is going to sound like stereotyping, but literally almost like your Brooklyn, like, I was working in Manhattan, so it was crazy. Anyway, so I was like, so we'll do, oh man, it's still dude, whatever. And I'm like, stop talking SHIT. How the whole freaking building's going to fall, right? Not realizing that gray mass I was looking at was the tower, the aftermath of the tower coming down.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I was like, and I'm up here thinking, when I was looking at both of the towers, now I didn't see either of them, all I saw was gray mass. And all I'm thinking is, man, how do people breathe in that, man? I saw the smoke from the fire.
Yes.
But it was literal. Anyway. But got home, was stuck in New York for a while because they shut down Penn Station and all that. And found out later that, trains are running again. So they only run on schedule. They said, this is Northeast Corridor. Charging, no tickets, no, just get on it.
Yeah.
So I just got on the train, came home later that night. Cell phones would stop working.
Yes.
And I found out later on Sprint's main antenna was on top of one of the towers.
Wow.
So that's why my cell phone wasn't working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just a crazy day. So after that, I was like, man, it changes your view on life. Yeah. It's like it's one of the moments. It's like, just do what you want to do because anything can happen anytime.
Yeah.
And some friends of friends died in there. You know what's crazy? I forgot to mention this part. When I started working for Smith Barney, I interviewed for some jobs in the towers. And a few months before, I just started working for Smith Barney a few months before, I was in the towers at one of the jobs I interviewed at. And I remember looking at the towers, it'd be kind of cool to work here.
Wow.
I kid you not.
Wow.
I kid you not. But I ended up working for Smith Barney over at the Chrysler Center.
Yes.
Which sadly and ironically, as the two towers fell, where I worked became the one of the two tallest buildings in New York. Then you have the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Tower before they built the new Liberty Tower to replace the Twin Towers. Yeah, man. But anyway, that was that story,
Yeah, so
And
you come home, you thank God, and how long do you go through this transition of decide? Do you go back to work the next day?
I didn't go back the next day. I went back the day after.
Okay.
Day after I went back to work, and ironically, my son Dwaine was like, I'm trying to think, how old was Dwaine at the time? That'd be 6 or 7.
Okay.
Dwaine used to be a big fan of the Twin Towers, and in retrospect, I don't know if this was good or bad, but I said I had to do it. I brought my son Dwaine in New York, and we went down as close as we could go before the police and National Guard setup was there.
Yes.
They could still see all the buildings that we passed were graded and sooted out.
Yes.
Soot was covered all the stores, and so we walked a few blocks until where the National Guard and police barricades were.
Yes.
But you could still see the smoldering mess of what was the tower.
Wow.
Literally, like this slight smoky rise, like it's weird.
Yes.
I mean, huge mound of just metal and dirt and stuff, right? And Dwaine and I just looked at it. I wanted to show it to him because he used to draw the towers and stuff like that before. My son is very astute like that. And but I teach my son all kind of stuff. So I want him to kind of I talked to him about it. I talked to him about terrorism. I talked to him about politics and stuff like that. Even at a little age like that, you know. So and then I started going back to work kind of seriously. Yeah, I guess a few days later. But it just wasn't the same. Like here's this fire department right about a block from my law office. I like to pass these firemen every day, almost every day when I get lunch, when I walk in that direction to get lunch. And they'll be out throwing baseballs to each other stuff in front of the station. That shift passed in front of me after the first, I don't know if it was the first or second plane hit, right?
Yes.
The entire shift died. The entire shift died. I mean, when I walked back there to get lunch maybe a few days later,
yes,
they had all their pictures with black ribbons around them. And I saw all them guys pass.
Wow.
And they all died. They all died in the tower. I was like, literally, all their pictures are lined up in front of the station with the black ribbons around them, all their pictures. I was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I remember all them guys, they passed me. I remember, because my office was only on the 3rd floor.
Yes.
We weren't that high up. And it was all glass windows, whatever. So I remember all them trucks, they all passing, lights flashing. I mean, all them dudes died that passed.
Wow. I
was like, yo, that was crazy,
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that was just a period I'll never forget.
We certainly want to keep them and their families in prayer. So
absolutely.
So you take your son down to see I guess the terrorist attack and to see what's left. And then shortly thereafter, you kind of make this transition that this is not for me. I want to do something else.
Well, I always wanted to be a lawyer, and when I was there, I hated. I didn't like work on Wall Street. Like, ever see that movie Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes,
literally. That's what I did. Except we did a more sophisticated version of it, a more educated, sophisticated version.
Yes,
right. But a lot of the folks weren't much different. It's just that our stuff looked nicer. Our desks were prettier. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? And our firms were more prestigious.
Yes.
But it was kind of like along the same lines, except they did a more legal version of it. They went overboard. Ours was more legal. Basically my job was to find wealthy people and convince them to invest in certain investments.
Okay.
And if they invested, I got a cut of the money.
Gotcha.
Literally, that was my job.
Gotcha.
Right. So which I hated. So it was like a hyper sales job, and I couldn't stand it. Yeah. So some people were built for sales. I wasn't built for sales. I mean, even in my business now, I don't go out selling. Like, people call me all the time. I get calls incessantly to do business.
Yes.
I don't have to really go out and pitch and sell and stuff like that, as they were training us to do there, that type of thing. So yeah.
Now, so you start so you go to school. Now, where do you go to law?
Yeah.
Where do you go to law school?
Rutgers. Because by that time I was married. I had 3 kids.
Yes.
And the great thing, Rutgers and Newark. There are only 3 law schools in New Jersey. Now it's only 2 because the Rutgers Newark and Rutgers Camden actually merged.
Okay.
They're now considered 2 different campuses. Back then they were considered 2 different law schools.
Okay.
And so I went to Rutgers and Newark. And the great thing about Rutgers and Newark was that I was able to work a full-time job while going to law school. Right?
You went to law school in the evening. You went to law school in the evening.
Yeah. They have this program tailored for people who work. Yeah, there's only 1 extra year. So I used to tell people, they thought I think it was 1 or 2 classes. Well, like, one person I know said, it's going to take about 10 years to graduate, right? No, 4 years.
Gotcha.
3 years for the regular students who don't work. In fact, there's an American Bar Association rule that says if you work more than 20 hours a week, you're not allowed to go to law school full time. You can't take 15 or more credits. You got to take less than 15 credits a semester.
Gotcha.
Right? So I'll always take as close to 15 as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I still nearly graduated only a semester after. But I said, why rush? And then my last semester, I think I was like 1 or 2 classes.
Okay.
So I was that far ahead. I was that far ahead. And so I almost graduated just a semester behind the regular state students. Yeah. And then I did that working a full-time job. They didn't have full-time jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. You were hungry, Dwaine.
And
you were hungry. Sir.
Yeah.
You were hungry.
And so I graduated that May. Took the bar exam, the first bar exam that popped up in Jersey after that, which I think was July.
Yes.
And got my bar results in November. And thank God I passed the bar the first time, man. I didn't want to go through that again. That was HELL, brother. That's a tough exam, man. 2-day exam was a pain.
Wow.
Man, I got sick even studying for it. I remember my feeling my temperature physically rise.
Yeah.
That stuff would give you a headache, man. like it would stress you out just studying for it, man.
Yeah.
And thank God knocked that out when I opened that bad boy. And so I passed. I fell on my knees. I was like, thank you, God.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord. Man,
so
I'm singing hymns that day, man.
So you spending so much time in North Jersey and New York, why did you come back to Trenton to open up your law firm?
I have a passion for Trenton. I really have a love for this town. Yes. I mean, it's a deep love. Like, for most people, or for a lot of people, I should say, it's like, you make some money. If you go away to college, if you make a lot of money, you buy some house in the suburbs, or you move somewhere else, or whatever.
Yes. For
me, and I did that, and I'm not going to say I'm guilty of that. I mean, there's pros and cons to moving out and raising your family elsewhere. I learned later. Like, I moved to Princeton because I had my son at the time, and I thought, okay, I'll make it. I mean, first of all, it's a pretty town. I love college town, and number two, I thought it had a competitive school system. Yes. So that was my thinking. After getting there are pros and cons to that. It's pros and cons to raising your children in certain environments, at the same, but I always had a love for Trenton. Not only a love for Trenton, because I think Trenton, number one, has a great history, and the people and the black folks here, and the great migration here, and the reasons for it. I did a deep dive. I studied it inside out, right? It wasn't just in general. I studied this stuff. And what I realized about Trenton is that most of the problems we have in Trenton, because a lot of times we talk about the problems, we have a lot of good too. When we talk about the problems, you could directly trace how they came to be. They're not just by chance.
Yeah.
Even literally, dudes acting thugged out is traceable. It's an anthropologically traceable thing that literally goes back to slavery.
Yes.
And then we see who the people that like Roebling brought up, for example. John Roebling, who was the wealthiest person in Trenton, he was the number one employee in Trenton in the 20s and 30s when most black folks came up here. It wasn't just black folks came for jobs. People like to say, well, my aunt, grandma came from South Carolina for jobs. It wasn't just that. Roebling, when Italian Americans used to be the main population in Trenton, they were Roeblings. They're considered the poor people of Trenton, right? They literally come from Italy, come down from New York, right? That's why we have all these Catholic schools that are closed and stuff, right? What happened was when they started unionizing in the 20s and 30s, Roebling and the other big industrial bosses says, we don't need them. Let's go get some of these black folks who just came out of slavery 3 generations before. Their grandparents were slaves. They work in the same exact plantations as sharecroppers where their grandparents were enslaved. And in fact, their grandparents, slave masters' grandkids are now their bosses.
Wow.
And they're uneducated, they're poor. They'll be glad whatever we give them. We will give them half what we get in salary.
Yes.
Literally, that's what happened. So Roebling and these dudes start sending people mainly to South Carolina. That's why so many from Dillon, South Carolina, Dillon County and all that.
Yes.
It's not just by chance. Just they did the same. The industrialists did the same thing in Chicago. That's why so many. The majority of black people in Chicago, people were enslaved in Mississippi. It's not just by chance, literally. So here, back to Trenton, Roebling and the other industrialists send people down south to Dillon County, Marion County, Sumter County, literally convince these black folks who've never heard of Trenton before, right, or probably barely ever heard of New Jersey, but they had no reason to move to this place called Trenton that they never heard of, so he could have them working in his factories. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And undercut the Italian American labor. And that's why you still have this animosity between Italians and black people in Trenton, because the black folks, they just thought they was getting a better life and better jobs. The Italians saw them as union breakers and stuff.
Got you.
So and so these Italians, and the sad part of the Italians, they also did the unions so they could keep the black people out. So they'll create unions, say you got to hire unions, but they didn't want a lot of black people to join the union. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, got you.
Right. So that's why our people started migrating up. So a lot of the migration wasn't, yes, some people looking for better, but it was also a lot of convincing and pulling by these white folks for their own benefit. The sad part was our people weren't allowed to be, most of our people weren't allowed to be educated in the South because of segregation and their own wicked racism. You know what I'm saying? Not only weren't allowed to be educated, they intentionally try to criminalize us, you know, with black codes and all that stuff. And teaching black men that to be, you know, like on the slave plantations to fight each other, sometimes to the death and stuff like that. So it was cooler to know how to fight than to learn physics. Because it ain't like your butt was going to become a physicist. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't change that, a lot of the pathologies you see are the same stuff that comes straight from slavery, man.
Wow.
And the sad part about it is a lot of these schools don't address it. They have regular classes like they have in Lawrence or Ewing and Princeton, but these white kids didn't go through that same history. They don't have a lot of those same pathologies, so they had a different history.
But
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let me
you know what I'm saying?
You know, I got you. But let me ask this question.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound so crazy, but you are so smart. I know you can handle this.
Sure.
Now,
thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You are an attorney, right?
Yeah.
So that's the equivalent of a PhD or a doctorate, right?
It is a doctorate. Yeah, I have it right on my wall. I have a doctorate in Juris Doctor.
Okay.
We even get the puffy hats when we graduate, just like the PhD and EDD students.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if
we're doctors of law.
Yes,
we just don't use that term in America. We just use Esquire. Yeah.
So if we've got so many knowledgeable people here in Trenton, why? And perhaps they know the same origins of our migration that you do. How come we are still struggling?
Well, here's the problem. Most of these folks who get these degrees and stuff, they just get it so they can get better jobs.
Okay.
Because they've also been socialized. They do it so they can get better jobs. They have not been. A lot of our people have not been socialized to take ownership of our society and run it and decide how it looks.
Okay.
We've been socialized to get a better job.
Okay.
Oh, now that I got this EDD, now I could become principal of the school and get $145,000 a year and a good pension, and I will do whatever the board tells me to do based on what the Department of Education says. Even though school boards in New Jersey have a lot of power, they don't. A lot of them don't exercise that power like they should. They just kind of, and so the mentality is, let me get me. I'm not putting people down. I mean, it sounds like an insult, and that's not my intention.
No.
What I'm saying though, is what they need to do is take control and look at the system and say, what do we need to do to produce the best kids?
Yes.
Not just look at, oh, here's the handbook from the Department of Education. This is what they said we need to prepare for, and just do that, right? So, and unfortunately for the school, for the teachers and educators, they have that burden where they're a lot of times overworked. You got to deal with a lot of kids who have problems because they are descendants of these pathologies, and the parents teach their children the same exact pathology.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And because their parents are them, their parents are just 18 or 16 or 17 years older.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, so what is considered normal is pathological.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I know I'm going for a little off topic just a little bit.
No,
but
you're good, man. You're good.
I give you a good example. In larger slave plantations in the South, it was intentionally done to make your strongest male slave fight the other strongest male slaves of the other plantations, sometimes to the death in gladiatorial battles. That was a normal thing that was done in the South. Because among rich white men, it was like racehorsing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just like they have the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
And if you won, you got a lot of money and notoriety. And so this slave now, by making his master money and giving him prestige, his benefit was he didn't have to work in the fields like the other slaves.
Yes.
He got to have sex with all the female slaves on the plantation at will. He could rape them at will. Because if they got pregnant, the master was happy. It's like breeding horses.
Yep.
He was breeding other slaves with his DNA.
Yes.
The master could either sell, put in the field, literally, right? So he would go around like, y'all niggas picking cotton, man. I'm effing BITCHs all day.
Yeah.
We ever heard that rap music lately?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're selling drugs instead of picking cotton. Same mentality.
Yes.
And so when you have kids, even when slavery's over, you have kids, first of all, the other slaves are scared of him. So, this is Big Joe that killed, he killed that other nigga last week. Excuse my language. You know what I mean?
Good, man.
So that's how they'll portray it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So it became cool to know how to fight.
Yes.
So when I can, growing up off the boulevard, if you know how to fight, man, you're the SHIT.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you're at Dolly Homes, which a lot of my friends lived at Dolly Homes, because that's the big nucleus of my neighborhood,
Yes.
right? A concentrated population nucleus. When I was at Junior 1, a lot of my friends lived there. So I had to hang out there sometimes. When I was a paper boy for the Trentonian, that's part of my route. You know what I mean? If you knew how to fight, you were the man.
Yes.
But if you had straight A's in school, okay, whatever.
Yeah. You need some protection.
Get passed down.
Yeah,
the pathologist get passed down.
Yes.
So well, for me, it was a little different because I had 4 older brothers, and we came up from Jamaica with a cohort of folks that, were, Jamaica wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we kind of protected each other. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So thank God I had that protection. But the point is that those same pathologies keep getting passed down because people teach their kids how to be like that unintentionally. Remember, they don't know any better. It's not like these people had doctoral degrees and whatever, and their kids just turn out bad. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing, Doc. In less than 5 minutes, right, on this platform, on this podcast, you explain it so simply. Why is it still taking us so long to understand this? Are we having these conversations?
I'm trying to.
Okay.
Trying. In fact, I just started a new not-for-profit. I just got it. Just founded a few months ago called the New Trenton Movement. Okay. Just got my 501c3 status.
Yes.
Right. So right now I'm putting together the deliverables.
Yes.
And the whole concept is to publicize all over Trenton the statistics on about 5 different variables like home ownership, per capita income, educational attainment, that type of thing, right? And show the Mercer County average and the Trenton average, and basically have a challenge to all Trentonians. I'm talking about all Trentonians, even the folks who are drugged out up near the what's street is that near Ewing Street, that area where they have the little facilities for folks like that. I'm talking about everybody.
Yes, sir.
And say challenge people, say, what are you doing to get here? So that's the quantitative part. The qualitative part is providing the services, including the educational services, et cetera, and also looking at how to get people motivated. Creating a situation, does that mean we change certain ordinances? Do we need to do this? Start thinking on that higher level with the goal of achieving those statistical goals.
Now let me stop you again, Doc. Now, first of all, I want to congratulate you on starting the foundation, the not-for-profit. But was it necessary for you to start the not-for-profit, or could you have collaborated with an existing not-for-profit to move this forward? I'm just curious. Because
good question. I plan to collaborate with them. Yep. Okay. I plan to do that. That's part of the rollout.
Yeah, I mean, but could you have gone to an already existing not-for-profit and say, listen, this is my idea, can we collaborate, or did you have to start your own? Because here's one of the things. Let me finish that. Because here's one of the things that I noticed, right, is that oftentimes we have good intentions, but we also have good and large egos. And sometimes, because
I agree.
You look at the space of Trenton,
exactly.
And I think we've got more not-for-profits than we've got people. And at some point, it's like we should be collaborating, and we don't want to collaborate because we think that the other person's going to get the bigger slice of the cheese or the pizza or recognition, because our egos are so far endowed. So I just wanted to ask that question. But go ahead. Right.
But part of the ego thing is also a pathology that comes from slavery too.
Yes.
Where a lot of black folks, we've been trained to function as if there's not enough room for all of us to share.
Yes.
We've been trained to act like there's scarcity of resources. Therefore, we got to fight each other to get those resources.
Yes.
Right.
I love it.
Which came from slavery and Jim Crow, where a lot of times we did have to do that. What Bob Marley says, through political strategy, they keep us hungry. Yes. So when you want to get some food, your brother got to be your enemy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So exactly. So that's what's been happening to us. Now, my goal is, here's the thing. Sometimes it's very difficult to change people with what they already have, especially when people get comfortable. And which was on the downside, as a lot of our people get educated, they get more comfortable. Yes. And what I mean is that, hey, I could have my good job, right? I could, with the good pension coming, have my nice house, my nice car, and I could help out through my nonprofit on the side, right? Now, here comes this dude tell me, you need to go do this extra work on top of that.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, no, I don't feel like doing that because I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And comfort to me is one of the biggest inhibitors of progress.
Absolutely.
Right? So what my plan is I literally have a list. I have a database that I created here, just gotten from other sources too, of all the different not-for-profits in Trenton. that's on point,
Yes.
and how they can assist in hitting these goals.
Yes.
Right? So that's part of my actual rollout. You know, is to reach out to people. If they're down, they're down. If they're not, we got to keep this train moving. We got to act like the children of Israel coming out of Egypt trying to go to the promised land.
Yes, sir.
And the promised land is here, 7.5 square miles with our statistics. These are the statistics.
Yes.
What are you doing to get home ownership?
Yes.
Right? Okay, is credit a problem? We can't do it the regular way. So a lot of our people do have bad credit because a lot of people didn't have wealth passed down.
Yes.
So instead of just beating up on each other for having bad credit, we need to look at new ways of looking at of getting financing for housing instead of doing it their way all the time.
Hey, Doc.
That benefits maybe 25% of us. You know what I'm saying? Or 30% of us.
Hey, Doc, I want to share something with you. And again, I may be wrong. It just came to my mind.
Right.
We often say Trenton is 7 square miles, right?
Right.
But let's look.
Right. Yeah.
But let's look at the amount of square footage that the state occupies, and let's look at the square footage that the county occupies, because this is also the county seat. So is it really 7 square miles, or could it be 5 square miles? Because if it's 5 square miles and you got 92, I'm just making a point. I don't know how realistic it's going to be. But if it's 5 square miles and you got almost 90 or 92,000 people in those 5 square miles, we should really be ashamed of ourselves that we can't get our shit together. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. And now let's talk about the county and the state.
Yeah.
On one hand, yes, I believe the state needs to properly compensate us for the space that it takes up, right?
Yes.
That it's not paying us real estate taxes in. And the state does give us money, which is similar to what they call a pilot.
Yes.
Payments in lieu of taxes,
yes,
right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Right. However, you got to look at the other side. The state also is our largest employer.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The reason, Trenton, which is amazing that Trenton has 37% poverty level when you have all these great state jobs. Because remember, Camden, for example, does not have the state. They're not the capital.
No.
So Camden has 45% poverty level.
Yes.
Right. And there's New Jersey has 65 municipalities. Right.
Yes.
Actually 564, I believe. Was it 564 now that the two Princetons merged, the township and the borough merged? Right. But anyway, we're the only one that's the capital. Yes. And of course, it's the greater Trenton area that benefits from that because you have these great jobs, right? Those great jobs aren't in Elizabeth. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we get that benefit. So on one hand, we could argue about less money, and same thing with the county jobs. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
These are great freaking jobs, right? So of course there's 21 counties, so all counties have county jobs. So it's a little different and not the same equivalency as the state jobs. But you get my point on the state part, right? But at the same time, it doesn't take away the state's responsibility to be fair in how it compensates us for that loss of possible, let's say, real estate taxes, right?
Yes.
So the bottom line is, honestly, man, I'm going to say this straight up candidly.
Yes.
I believe. Okay. Wallet Hub had a poll of different capital cities. They ranked Trenton dead last of the 50 states, right?
What?
We're the only one that doesn't have a functioning hotel. It was us in Pennsylvania. Harrisburg got a functioning hotel. We had one open in 2002, closed in 2017. I know there's some folks down in Florida that bought it that claims they're going to bring it back. I actually have a copy of the deed and everything. I went down and got it from the county clerk and all that. Yeah. Right? Because I'm kind of monitoring that.
Yes.
For different reasons, right? The bottom line is this right here: is I truly believe Trenton can be the example of how you bring a post-industrial, post-migration city back. But what it entails is you cannot have the same education system. It's very important. That's one of the school board, and then sometimes some people get upset and think I'm attacking the school board, which is garbage. I think they're doing a great job on the tough circumstances, right? Well, I think they're doing as good a job as you could do currently under tough circumstances. Now, school board needs to evolve to be better. And what I mean by that is yes, I know the schools are now over half Hispanic, even though the 2020 census says Trenton is 47% African American. No, I mean 49.7% African American, 1.5 mixed race. So let's say 50%. Because part of that mixed race is part black, right? So let's say half African American, maybe a little bit more than half. So I don't say majority, right? African American, in one way or another. Yet the school board is the last statistic I saw is 53% Hispanic. So so you see a big disconnect there, right?
Wow.
So the majority of kids in Trenton schools right now are actually Hispanic, right? Which tells me if they're saying the population is that high, this just tells me there's a lot of Hispanics that's not signing on to the census.
Yeah.
So because could be illegal. No, I say illegal. I don't like to use that word. Undocumented. No human being is illegal. Undocumented. You know what I'm saying? Right. So right. But that being said, here's the thing. I think we could create a new Black Wall Street right here, but it requires people buying in. It requires going on the corner of Hoffman and Stuyvesant and saying these are the goals for Trenton. Yes. I don't see too many of our politicians doing that. One thing I can't stand Donald Trump. But one thing I like about him, one thing I respect about him, he goes out there and makes these speeches and get his people to buy into a vision, even though his vision is garbage.
Yeah, he gets him fired up. Right?
Gets them fired up. Why aren't our leaders going on Walnut Avenue and saying, let's say, nothing against Reed or any of the elected officials, but if I were mayor, right, I would be on the corner of Walnut and I'm trying to think one of the cross streets, right? And
Chambers.
Be
Walnut
like,
and Chambers.
Chambers, right? Down the street from Trenton High, right? Where my alma mater.
Yes.
And I'll be like, these are where we are now. These are where we need to be. Look at all this boarded houses up here. So young boys, y'all need to stop this whole nasty thing where you walk around your hand and your pants look like it's scratching.
Yes.
I don't know how that became a style. Brother, you got to explain to me how that became a style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But brother, his hand his pants like he's scratching. And take your butt to Mercer County VOTEC, Mercer County College. Set up a system for them to do it. And I know the county has some nice things like One Stop and all that, right? Programs they're doing. Ours got these stuff, things like that. But on a broader scale, so we could go into these boarded up houses, figure out some financial system, right? Where it's beneficial to the people put it together, right? And start renovating these houses and get a job and explain to them. But the other part where I said where we need to change the education system, why aren't there classes? Why aren't I used to be on the board at Mercer County College, and I plan to use some of my experiences when I was on the board of trustees there and stuff. I want people to start these professors and stuff, and these EDD students and all these PhD students start putting out pamphlets. So the reason why Trenton is like this is what happened. The reason how you ended up here, right? When you think having tattoos all over your face and putting your hand in your pants and thinking all that is cool, it's because this is the pathology of it.
Yes.
Back in slavery, this happened. Then this happened. And then in this year, this started happening. Put out a nice, simple pamphlet. It don't got to be any long reading. Put it out on the internet, right? And let people understand why they are where they are. Because they'll start thinking. Human beings, I don't care how rough a dude or woman is, how ratchet or whatever word people want to use is. They're still God's creation. They're still human beings. They still got a thing called a brain in their head. They still got neurons and synapses, right? Stop writing our people off as, people out there like, they're just like that. No, they ain't just like that. They were taught to be that way. And when human beings can be untaught. Not saying it's going to happen overnight. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being ignorant about this. This may take a whole generation. But we should be seeing a steady upswing, not downswing. 2021 should not have been our worst murder rate in our history, tied with 2020 at 40 murders. It should be up. It should be, it was 40 that year. Next year should be 38 at the most. Next year should be 35 the most. And if you do that same, going along that same line, in 20 years, it should be, somebody actually got shot in Trenton.
Yeah, you're right.
It shouldn't be like, somebody got shot. Oh shit, it happens all the time. Like it's almost like no big deal now. It's so normal.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We've normalized that.
It's like it's normalized.
But Doc, let me share something with you. And again, you and I are just we're speaking passionately about what we feel. I think that even though the board is doing a fantastic job, I think a lot of the board or board members are settling. There is a group in Trenton. They're about 4 or 5 years old. It's called Homeworks, right? Started by a young lady up in Princeton University. And what she did was she took some undisclosed homes in the city of Trenton, and she has these girls that go to the Trenton Public School or they go to a chartered school, but they don't go home in the evening. They all come to this one house, almost like they're going to a boarding school, as if you went to a Lawrenceville Prep. And actually, Natalie, who is the co-founder of Homeworks, went to Lawrenceville Prep, and then she also went to Princeton University. And her one of her mentors was Marty Johnson, who's the founder of Isles.
Oh, yeah, Martin's a good guy.
And
yeah.
so that concept is working well. And I don't know why our educational leaders, and I don't know why our city officials and leaders are not reaching out to Homeworks to see how do we expand this. And can you imagine if we did that concept, right, on a larger scale, where we took some abandoned houses, refurbished some of these abandoned houses, and the kids who don't have the perennial strength, they would go to school from 8 to 3 or 8 to 4, do their extracurricular activity, but instead of them going home, they would go to this house, this group home, where there's like-minded brothers and sisters coming together, and they would stay there for a week or 2 weeks, right? Or they would stay there for the whole semester. They're still going to a public school in Trenton, but the additional needs that they need to receive, they're getting it now in a structure. And I don't see why Homeworks, and I don't see why the City of Trenton, and I don't see why Trenton, the Board of Ed, is not trying to facilitate this larger growth. And so I'm putting Natalie out there because I've seen her grow, and I've seen the work, and I've had a lot of former students. I've had students in general who have gone through their program, and man, they have excelled tremendously.
Amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah.
It's a boarding school concept for urban school, and it's working working tremendously. And I don't see why we're not leveraging our dollars behind that to make sure that if we need more houses, she's got access to that.
Right.
You know?
Now, glad you told me about it because I wasn't aware of it, and I'm gonna add that to my list, right? Because I had a bunch of other ones, but I didn't have hers, right? Like great groups like East Trenton Collaborative and all these wonderful organizations we have. Of course, our local NAACP, Urban League, all that, right? So, one of the things I envision on that same note for the New Trenton movement is to have offices. What I want to do is a thing that's been talked about in Trenton, but I have not really seen it implemented. Is basically to have ward captains.
Yes. Neighborhood
captains. I actually have a map in my office of the city of Trenton.
Yes.
And I have I have it on the wall. And I have my own little, looks like my master plan map. Got little, different color codes for different neighborhoods, stuff like that. Right.
The war room. The war room.
Right. The war room. Right. So what I'm envisioning is New Trenton movement having ward captains broken out to neighborhood captains, broken out to street captains, right? Urban block captains or whatever, right?
Yes.
And to push what the goals are to get to these statistics, right? To get the statistical equivalency between Mercer County and the city of Trenton, right? Trenton Rutgers, of course, the statistics will change slightly since Trenton is part of the county, right? But then there's the for-profit side, right? Because you need the economic development, right? So, it's different than the not-for-profit, of course, because you can't mix these two things. But the bottom line goal is I want socioeconomic equivalency between Trenton and Trenton's residents and the residents of Mercer County as a whole, right? Which means that it doesn't have to all, the New Trenton movement will just be a part of that. We expect, to work with these other not-for-profits, to also work with the for-profits, work with the banks. Banks need to start rethinking their lending strategies and stuff like that. You can't, just like you have things like affirmative action, you can't just leave it up to the market to basically to address the issues that's been going on since 1619. Because if you do that, this is the result you get. And look at it. It's not only Trenton. Why is it Trenton, Philly, Camden, Chicago, LA, Detroit? Wherever our people are, it's the same story. You got a certain percentage that's doing pretty well. You got a large percentage that's okay. They may have a decent job somewhere, but you got a huge percentage, 30% some places, 40% some places, which have to live, basically on government. Basically the government take care of them for life.
Yeah, government support. Yeah.
Government support, and then there's a small percentage of that who are committing heinous crimes and stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? A percentage of them and overpopulating the prisons. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm not saying it's their fault. What I'm saying is the point is our reality is creating that. So how do we study and reform our reality to make folks do better so they're not doing that?
Yeah.
Right? It should be unheard of. It should be something that somebody actually got killed.
Yeah.
Like every 5 years, something real sad happened. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be normal. It shouldn't be normal that dudes are getting shot all the time in St. Louis. But we've gotten so beaten up and mentally not dumbed down, but we're conditioned that we think it's okay that every time if you go to Atlanta, there's gonna be neighborhoods of black people just killing each other. If you go to Philly, there's neighborhoods of black people killing each other.
Yeah.
If you go to Miami, there's neighborhoods of black people killing each other. And we just feel like, oh, that's just normal.
Yeah.
Oh, don't go to Liberty City, you go to Miami. Don't go to this area.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, nah, man, something ain't right.
Yeah.
It's the same exact programming. That's why you got the same exact results.
No,
Same exact programming, same exact results. So you got to know this is a thing. It's not just bad parenting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now let me ask this question now. So with everything that you're talking about, at some point, can we see you move back into the city of Trenton and maybe run?
Oh, I'm moving back to the city of Trenton. I didn't mention that.
No.
I'm in the process of looking for a house right now in the city of Trenton.
Okay, well, there's one right down the street from me, man. Love to have you down the street
Yeah.
from me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, let me know, because
Yeah.
I'm on Realtor.com every day. I have a realtor. I have a sister in Trenton that's helping me.
Okay.
I'm trying to locate a place right now.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I looked at a few properties. One I was going to bid on, but someone beat me to it.
Gotcha.
Because part of my plan. Yeah.
No, because I'm thinking with your energy and passion, we need you in this city to kind of stir up, right? The energy that we need, and maybe run for political office.
Yeah, I've been running at a later period.
Yeah.
I mean, because guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yes,
That's
sir.
another thing in Trenton.
Yeah.
You don't. People are always blaming mayor and council for the problems of Trenton.
Yeah.
There's so many things you could do without mayor and council.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, we go to work.
Yeah.
We travel.
Yes.
We have fun.
Yes.
We smoke cigars.
Yes.
We go to the bars. We go to the clubs. We do all that without mayor and Trenton.
Yeah,
so when it's time to develop something, well, we can't do that. Trenton, the council is this and the council is that, and they don't get along.
Yeah.
So what? Why can't we get together and pool some money and start a business?
Yes.
You don't need council approval to start a business.
Yes.
I thought my law practice ain't for council approval.
Yeah.
People don't know where the power of council ends. So part of it is they don't know where the power of council and mayor ends.
Yes.
The part of it is also a cop out because they don't want to come together themselves and do things. It's easier to say, just blame mayor and council. Like, let me show you another example.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing for the kids to do in Trenton. That's why they're out there like that. Wait a minute. If you live at Dolly Homes, I'm gonna use Dolly Homes as an example, right near where I grew up on Vine Street, on the corner of Vine and Vine near the Boulevard, right?
Yes.
Why can't parents for Dolly Homes get together, start a play, right? Get a what's the book you call where people's different parts for a play, right?
Yeah.
And then get a group of kids together, a script, right? And go into the community center and have kids come there and prep for a play and then put on a play so the elderly folks and the other folks live there can watch the play.
Yeah.
You need counsel? You need counsel to do that?
No.
That's our point. There's a million things you could do. You can start a reading club. You can see what kids are interested. We Kappas, my fraternity, we had Kappa-botics. We had kids from Wilson Homes and stuff that we got together in over a multi-week program. My boy Deuce Jones, my bro Deuce Jones was running that on behalf of the chapter, right, and did an excellent job. Where we had these kids build these cars from scratch, and they learned how cars are made, and then we raced them a few weeks ago over at the Trenton Y. Yeah. So my point is, stop this cop out. Oh well, because we trained this called city council. No, get a group of like-minded people together, and that's what I'm doing. I got the law practice. Well, I've got my new Trenton movement, you know what I'm saying? We know there's only a finite amount of hours in a day, and money doesn't grow on trees, so we need resources, right?
Yes.
And let's pick something and focus on that thing. If people are thinking like that, then we could get things done.
I got one for you, Doc.
Don't blame Dave.
I got one for you. You are you are Kappa, right?
Right.
Okay,
absolutely.
let's
can't start till the day I die.
All right, let's give them a shout out. And why don't we get like the Kappas to walk through every ward? Right? Or won't we do like a Divine Nine march through all the wards and just, stop on like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? Get all the Divine Nine or the Kappas to walk through every ward in some of those corners that you just talked about in this podcast, right? We're greeting the young brothers and sisters, or we're doing something in the community the Divine Nine that would do.
That's a good idea, and that's something we could bring to the Pan-Hellenic, the local Pan-Hellenic Council, which is basically our where the Divine Nine gets together.
Gotcha.
Exactly. That's a great idea.
And you know what? I got to give a shout out. I don't want to take away from the seriousness of this, but my man Howard George, we always joke back and forth. But if you guys through the Divine Nine, tell him that 5 Panther Soul will also be marching in the streets as well.
Who else? Who is that gonna be watching the street as well?
Yeah, 5 Panther Soul. That's our own social organization.
Okay, cool, man.
That's
cool.
an inside joke. So when Howard George listens to this episode, he gonna know what I'm talking about.
Okay. I love to learn more. I love to learn more about it. Yeah. Hey, sounds good to me, brother.
But
what I'm saying is
No, I'm saying to you, man, is you have not ceased to amaze me, and I knew that you were going to bring the knowledge when we had this conversation. So what I want to go do at this moment is I want to go back, and I just want to unpack some things that I want to give more clarity to. Right.
Right.
What was your motivation to be who you are and to be so successful and to be so driven? What was your motivation?
I tell you, man. Ever since I was a kid,
Yes.
I used to love to read. Right.
Yes.
I used to love comic books. Actually, start with comic books.
Yes.
After my paper route, when I collected my money, I go buy comic books.
Okay.
And comic books just opened the whole world to me.
Okay.
I just learned about everything from history, about different countries. And it'll be Spider-Man and something, but you still tell your story,
Yes.
right? I remember as a kid, this commercial used to come on. It'd say, MasterCard International, so worthy, so welcome. Then they show the skyline of Manhattan and all that. I'm like, I want to live like that. You know what I mean? Because I grew up very, we grew up very poor. Came from Jamaica. Whatever. We're kids in Jamaica. We didn't even have running water in our house.
Yes.
We had an outhouse where they go get the day's water and all that stuff. So coming here, in what people call poverty or whatever. I mean, it was good. I mean, we were good.
Yes.
In spite of all that. You know what I'm saying? Thank God to my mother and my family and stuff like that.
Yes.
So when I got here, to me, it's just that I got one life to live.
Yes.
I'm going to be the best at everything I did. Now, there was a part negative. There's also sort of a negative part to that. And the negative part to it is when I was a kid, I kid you not, when I was a kid in Jefferson one time, I heard the 2 teachers say something bad about my mother.
Yes.
And about, literally. And they're so ignorant, and I hate to say it like that, none against teachers.
Yes.
They saw this little kid from Jamaica, and I guess they thought, of course, I had a foreign accent or whatever, that I wouldn't understand what they were saying. And it pissed me off so bad. That was just one example of me saying, F you, I'm going to show y'all I'm better than y'all.
Yes.
So instead of saying, hey, this little poor kid's from Jamaica that's helping with this right here, it was 2 teachers talking when I was at Jefferson. I thought it was so horrible. And they said something nasty about my mother. Oh, kids, they have different fathers. And they said something like that. I was like, what? And I was like maybe 6-7 feet from them.
Yes.
And they thought it was cool to talk like that.
Wow.
Instead of saying, here's a kid that can do well or whatever. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying, that same ignorant mentality of, well, I have a good job, I'm a teacher, I went to college, instead of saying, and I'm not judging, saying they didn't think that way also.
Yes.
Right? But that's what they did to me. You know what I mean? And that really pissed me off when I was a kid. But that type of thing of feeling that people look down on us because we weren't the wealthiest, we weren't the most educated.
Yes.
My mother went back to school, and she actually went to night school and finished her high school diploma. Because what people don't understand is in Jamaica, after a certain grade, right, which is like the equivalent of 8th grade here,
yes,
you got to pay to go to school.
Wow. Okay.
So the government didn't have enough money for you to go free the whole way.
Got you.
So if your parents didn't have it, you dropped out after 8th grade.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And see, people take that for granted. A lot of people take it for granted here. There, the money just wasn't there. So that's after my mother. Smart woman, meant well, but that's what it was, right? So I remember my mom, when I was old enough to remember, going back to night school and training high school at night school and got her diploma. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
And and that type of thing,
Awesome.
So part of the motivation was like putting on my finger to all the people that thought we weren't SHIT.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And part of it was, but most of it was positive. Was I got this one life to live. I'm going to do my best in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
Shoot, because when you're dead for a long damn time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So for the time I'm here, you know what I mean? All the people dead, they still dead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotta make the most of it. Yeah.
Yeah, not until God comes back. But So my thing is, let me make the most of it while I'm here.
Yeah.
So that's how I live my whole life, spiritually, mentally, physically. Just try to be the best I can. Study things, know what's going on in the world, know how the world affects my local community, having that world view, and feeling. And like I said, when I went, one thing I learned at Georgetown, like all the famous people's kids, and who a lot of them are famous now themselves.
Yes.
And see them on TV. For example, I've seen 2 movies where the character played a guy I go into college with.
Wow.
Not him playing the character. Characters played him.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. But these dudes aren't right. And I'm like, man, these dudes are the same living room and chatting and stuff.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, if they can do it, we can do it.
Absolutely.
But it's like the ancient Greeks said, they can because they think they can.
Yes.
We got to stop limiting our thoughts and limiting what we can do. You know what I mean? And say that we could create, we could turn Trenton around. You know what I mean? We got to start thinking like that.
Yeah.
Not saying, I don't know why they like that. You know, it's got to avoid this neighborhood, whatever.
Yeah.
No. So that's why, moving back to Trenton and
now, Doc,
trying to make this a great town or a better town.
We talked about your motivation. What were some of the challenges that you had to overcome? The ones that were obvious and the ones that weren't so obvious in terms of challenges that you had to overcome.
Let me tell you. When I was graduating from Trenton High, right?
Yes.
So I graduated number 3 in the class, right?
Yes.
Okay, awards night, I got all these academic awards. I got the Gifted and Talented Education Society Outstanding Student Award. I was executive officer of the Army JROTC, so I got that Leadership Award and Academic Excellence Award, varsity letters, all that, two different sports, right?
Yes.
All that. But all these people are getting this scholarship money.
Got you.
You get this book award, that award. Bro, no one ever sat down to me and explained to me this whole scholarship thing.
Got you.
That people take for granted. That now look back on. Not to mention, these Greek letter organizations were giving out all these scholarships.
Yes.
All this Greek letter stuff. I didn't know about Kappas and all that stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When I was in high school,
Yeah.
I just kind of see the stuff on TV, but it was foreign to me. I'm getting all this money. So I went back to my guys' council, like, yo, how come I'm graduating so high and all these people got all this money? And my guys' council said to me, oh, Dwaine, we know you're going to be okay.
Wow.
I'm going to be okay. After my guys' council.
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay. They got Paul's heck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember when my friends had cable. I had no cable. I remember when my boys at Dolly Homes had bicycles before I had a bicycle.
Yeah.
Come on, we didn't know we could have gone to because we're from a foreign country. We didn't know we could go to the Goodwill and get a used one. We didn't know about all that yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we got bicycles later, but but what I'm saying though is there's a lot of things that people consider common knowledge that I didn't know, and no one told me.
Yes.
And then I think, and as my law partner, Ronald Parder, said to me one time when I first became a lawyer, we had a firm called Parder and Williamson. But Ronald said, well, Dwaine, for you, a lot of people just assumed you're okay. They assumed if you're getting these good grades and you're doing all these great things, you must already be ahead of the game. So so if I told him, nah, dude, I was on welfare. I remember food stamps. I remember my mom sending me with the food stamps to the store, me waiting to make sure none of my classmates around. If I pulled out the food stamps to buy the stuff, and my mom and WIC. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, but I guess people presumed that you carried yourself a certain way.
Yes.
That you weren't from that background.
Yes.
And so they did not help you.
Wow.
And it's weird. And even with all the enrichment programs I did, I just never understood the whole scholarship thing. So I didn't apply for a scholarship. Thank God I did get, when I went to school, I had really good financial aid at Georgetown, and they gave me scholarships. It wasn't nothing I applied for. It's just, money that people donated to the school or whatever. Because there was one point I still had to drop out. One time, junior year, they said they needed $5,000 extra. I thought they had no $5,000 after, they gave me thousands. I mean, the school is extremely expensive, so they gave me $30,000, $35,000, $40,000, whatever that semester, whatever it was. But they still needed $5,000. I said, well, I guess this is the end of the road right here.
Yeah.
Because I sure as hell know my mom don't got that money.
Yeah.
So, and then I told him, I said, that's it. I made it this far, but I guess that's just the way the ball bounces. But they came back to me later on and said, nah, we found this money from some lady who I've never heard of, donated money to the school, millions to the school, and they took the $5,000 out of it.
Awesome.
Yep, and I was able to go on and finish school. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Have you ever met that woman?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
No.
Okay.
It's just one of the many scholarships they had there. Yeah. In fact, I have to go look back if I ever can find that again or something and find out, the Dorothy whatever something scholarship or whatever. You know what I mean? Fund or whatever. So
What was some of your regrets?
Regrets?
Yes.
Yeah, I try to say I don't have too many regrets. You know, you learn from even the bad stuff.
Yeah.
I wish, you know, you live and you learn.
Yes.
And it's things, if I had learned it earlier, I would have done even better at. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I don't call them regrets. I can't say I really have any regrets.
Okay.
I mean, thank God I met some great people, and
yes.
Got married. Trina's a great woman. Unfortunately, we're likely getting a divorce now. But a great person, great human. We have 3 great kids. So sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to work out. But but there's no regret. We just we live, we learn. Sometimes people move in different directions, and sometimes those directions don't necessarily comply with each other. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
And and so such is life, right?
Understood.
But amicable, and that type of thing. No regrets, man. No regrets. Just like learning experiences. We live, we learn. Everybody comes to your life. People say people come to your life for a reason.
Yes.
Not just saying when it comes to romance or marital. I'm talking about every human relationship, professional relationships, that type of thing. So it's to me just being human is just evolving and always trying to be better.
Okay. Now, I always ask this question, but I'm gonna put this on a short note. I always ask this question: where are you 3 to 5 years from now? But I'm going to ask you, where are you a year from now? Because man, you've got some fantastic plans. So I want to know, where are you, Dwaine, a year from now?
Well, a year from now,
yes.
I would love to have the endowment fully funded for my not-for-profit.
Yes.
I have a certain number I'm trying to hit.
Yes.
I'm going to say the number, $9 million.
Okay.
I'm just thinking, if we had that endowment, it'll pay what my projected costs are perpetually. Just the returns from that.
Yes.
You don't need a super huge amount of money per year. It's several $100,000 a year, and we could generate that from $9 million. So for the not-for-profit. So hopefully got that up and running. Of course, I got to balance that because I do have a law practice, and that's my main bread and butter. Even though with the law practice, I could scale it down if I need to somewhat, so I could put enough time and energy into that. We have we're putting together a deliverable because we want to be able to focus. That's the key word. Focus on what we're delivering. So I have a list of deliverables that I want from the not-for-profit. So I want to put one together, implement that, get enough people on board, volunteers, et cetera, to implement it, then put out the other deliverable type of thing. I also mentioned that I have a for-profit investment company also.
Okay.
So I want to start investing in mainly in properties in Trenton, but the investment is not just about getting rent money and that type of thing. It's beautifying Trenton.
Got you.
I have this whole program called Neighborhood Recapture.
Yes.
Right. That I'm putting together about literally picking a neighborhood and what you do in that neighborhood to get people to buy in, even the renters,
yes,
even the folks who are littering and spitting on the sidewalk and not knowing that you shouldn't be doing that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And getting to buy in. So all these things, what you do on the not-for-profit side, of course, affects the economic viability of the community also.
Absolutely.
The for-profit side.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So all these things work together. And at the end of the day, what's the old saying? People make the world go around.
Absolutely.
It's people. All this is about people.
Yes.
And, the problem in Trenton is not money. People say money's the problem. Money's not the problem in Trenton. Of course, you need money to do different things. Don't get me wrong. Money's essential, right? But that's not the problem. The problem is mentality.
Yes.
The problem is where people are on both their, not just academic knowledge, but their social knowledge of why I am who I am.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Type of thing. You know what I mean? People are socialized, like we talked about earlier, people socialize to believe that it's cool if I, have 50, 5 teardrop tattoos, whatever. I'm not putting people down for that. I'm just saying, whatever socialization created that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We have to do the positive stuff. We got so much positive stuff. We have great people. We got you, Kevin. You know what I'm saying? You run a great organization, MOB, man. You got a lot of great people in town. We need to get the like-minded people together to move forward and then get the others to buy in.
Yes.
And tell people it's not okay. And that's the other thing. We got to stop feeling embarrassed. I did a post on Facebook about that. Stop feeling embarrassed to talk about the nitty-gritty stuff.
Yes.
We need to, let me show an example. There should be a pamphlet or something on social media about not putting your living room couch on your front porch. Let's stop being embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
It should be said about it. Stop spitting on the darn concrete sidewalk.
Yes.
Man, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Man, that's gonna put it in the garbage later, bro.
Yeah.
Niggas, you don't glob.
Yeah.
But my point is, we need to start talking about these things.
Yes.
Right? We all say you shouldn't litter. You shouldn't litter.
Yes.
But we need to, it's uncivilized, man. We got to start talking to our people about all this little stuff.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because when people do little stuff, they think it's okay to do worse stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we need to get our people to buy in.
Yes.
And let them and for a lot of us black folks in particular too, is the definition of manhood.
Oh,
we need to move away from this garbage thug mentality.
Yes.
Be the definition of manhood.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That if you did 5 years, then you're real.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man. You know what I mean? So, bro, I've done criminal defense.
Yes.
They'll tell you what they did when them 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll talk about what they do when they come out. They've been doing some things with each other for them 5 years. A lot of them. I'm telling you. It's most of them.
Yeah, that's
most of them. Ain't nothing cool about being in prison.
Yeah, that's another episode, right? That's another episode.
That's my point. Ain't nothing cool about being in prison. I'm telling you right now. So when people come out like they accomplished something, that's some garbage mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you did time in prison, just say, I did it, I'll never do that wrong again,
yes.
and I don't want people to come after me to do better.
Yes.
Apologize to society for it and move on.
Yes.
I'm not saying I believe in reforming people. I believe in reentry, right?
Yes.
But don't make it seem like you accomplished something.
Yes.
I did 5 years. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, but those are the things that we should have on social media apps.
Gotcha.
Things that we should have on billboards.
Yes.
And like I said, with the New Trenton movement, I want to take a statistical approach so we can actually track it.
Yeah.
Are we getting better? Are we getting worse?
No.
Not just a general sense of being better. We can actually see the numbers.
Now,
you know what I'm saying?
Now, under the New Trenton movement, I want to add this idea. I want to share this idea with you. I would love to see a way to engage our young men and women who do the dirt bikes and the quads, right? And maybe get some donated land that we can build, an arena, a dirt bike arena where they can do.
It's funny you say that.
Because let me finish though, Doc. Because what happens is, think about all the young men and women that cause trouble in our city with the dirt bikes and the quads. We can start a county or a nationwide championship circuit where now they're not riding around for foolishness, but now they're riding around to really get the bag, as the young folks say, and chase championships, because we do this better than anybody, but it's still illegal.
Exactly.
And it's
the
terroristic.
marauders or whatever people call them.
Yeah, and it's terroristic.
Exactly.
They ride up and down the streets with the loud motors and mufflers. And when they get caught, they've got nothing to show for it. But let us train you to put you on the track to do this right, get some sponsorship dollars. Now you chasing a bag, a trophy. Now you got some real respect. So I would love to add that.
Great idea.
Yeah.
There's an inherent ingredient in what you just said. You know what the inherent ingredient is?
Yeah.
The inherent ingredient is?
Yes.
It's love.
Absolutely.
It's not just seeing them as some ignorant dudes running around, marauding. Nah.
Yeah.
It's young brothers, strong young brothers.
Yes, sir.
Right? Who have skills.
Yeah.
However, they're projecting those skills in the wrong way.
Yes.
And what you're doing is redirecting them to something that's positive.
Yes.
Right? And it's beneficial to them that they could buy into.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Even though I think there's a piece of that where they actually think it's cool to kind of just go to the different neighborhoods. Yeah. And some people might even think it's cool to run from the cops. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is kind of sad. But right. However, that being said, what you said is mainly correct. If you could get most people to buy into that, I mean, if we could cut crime down by 90%, that's darn good.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna get to everybody. But right, by providing that right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Look at that. NASCAR got founded by people who used to shoot their cars up so they could just a bootleg.
Yeah.
They could bootleg. Yeah. Moonshine. Yeah.
Hey, Doc.
That's how NASCAR got started.
Doc, I got a
Same
question.
concept, right?
Absolutely. I got a question for you. So, you being an attorney, you being downtown, how often do you call, and I'm going to mess this up, how often do you call your bar associate colleagues to look at some of the crime and some of the challenges in Trenton, and do you ask, like, can you help me solve this? Can we do like a American Bar Association think tank, just not idolizing, but just emphasizing the ills and challenges in Trenton? Have you ever thought about doing something like that?
I thought about that, but to me, bar part and the legal part,
Yes.
that's a result of the problem. That's not the cause of the problem.
Okay.
The cause is on the education side and the economic side,
Okay.
right? The socioeconomic and education side,
Okay.
right? So that's what we need to target. Let me show you an example. I've seen these billboards about attendance. Attendance is bad in Trenton public schools, whatever, we need to get it up.
Yes.
The problem with these billboards and stuff, right, in my humble opinion, and I respect those who are on the front lines trying to fix this problem, but the problem is they're dealing with the effect of the problem, not the cause of the problem.
Got you.
Right? So you're telling someone, attendance matters and have this nice billboard, which is cool, right? But the question is, why are people choosing not to attend? That's the real issue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why are brothers and sisters are not buying into feeling that if they go to school, they can achieve something better?
Yes.
That's what needs to be targeted,
Got you.
right? And the problem is, and here's the issue, we look at things scientifically for other people, but not for ourselves. Let me show you what I mean.
Mhm.
Okay, we had this pandemic, right, that coronavirus. So
Yes.
what do they do? Operation Warp Speed. Or you need to get these vaccines. So all these companies, Moderna, et cetera, they study the heck out of it. Study the virus. Where did it come from? Where did the pathogens come from? Did it come from Wuhan? Whatever. We study it, right? Then we come up with different ideas for vaccines and the dosages. Then we start implementing it, right?
Yes.
How come we don't study ignorance? Ignorance. How come we don't study it and say, like I've been saying, it comes from this pathology. This was done in slavery. This happened. This right here.
Yeah.
And these are things we need to do to address it. Why do we just act like it's normal?
Yeah.
How come we don't take the same scientific approach and try to fix the most, I was going to say, what's the right, damage is a word probably,
Yeah.
of our people who's been damaged by this stuff? Why do we act like, that's just how they are? Their parents ain't right.
Yes.
Yeah, are their parents, man?
Yes.
They're just 16 years younger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If
No, I
someone's damaged, it's two damaged people having kids. Right? They just gonna become good parents.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my point, and that's what's been happening. So why don't we take the same scientific approach saying this is what caused it, this is the history of it, right? Here's the statistical growth or whatever in this poverty. We know things come from redlining and concepts of not owning homes and stuff like that, right? So people have gotten used to certain things. Okay, used to renting, or the point is, let's take the same scientific approach to solving the problems of the inner city that we take to solving everything else, and stop acting like we're just this way, or a group of us is just that way, because they're not just that way.
Yes.
It's learned pathologies. Everybody didn't wake up one morning and say, my drawers look good, I want everybody to see it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People were socialized to go along with it, because what it does, it communicates a thing. I am down too. I wear this do-rag not because I want waves in my head.
Yeah.
I wear it because I want to communicate to the other people that I am down with whatever this local thing is, right? All these things it can be scientifically analyzed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Socio-scientifically analyzed.
Mm-hmm.
And then, therefore, when you study something enough, you can start crafting solutions.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And say, okay, maybe we did this, right? Then you can have this result. I'm not saying people can't dress the way they want to dress, but that's not my point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My point is we gotta take that same approach in fixing our problems and believe they're fixable.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Listen, Doc, with the time that we have left, and this has been fantastic, so I'm going to always extend to you the platform. You're always welcome to come back and to share on the platform. So any shout outs that you want to give to the listening audience? Any shout outs that you want to give to the listening audience?
I give a shout out to all of our people, man. I mean, all of us. I believe in everybody, right?
Yes.
I'm not just trying to color code things, but the issues of our black folks have been a particular problem. You know what I mean? Talking about the issues that come out of 1619. So I give a shout out to us for our resilience and for those who are to overcome a lot of these pathologies, right? And I give a shout out to everybody. See what our women go through, brother. I mean, and the issues that young girls got to deal with on one level, and what young men got to deal with. I give a shout out to everybody on the front lines trying to fix these problems, to our school board, to our educators, our police force, who are in the front lines that have to deal with this stuff. You know what I mean? Every day you go out, you got to put on a bulletproof vest, what's going to happen, So I give a shout out to everyone who wants to think on that higher level.
Yes.
Who wants to not just be comfortable because he got a good job. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I got my good job. I got my flat screen TVs. All I care about now is Monday Night Football or football season, or I can't wait for March Madness with college basketball. And think on that high level. What can I'm part of a greater community, and what can I do in my role to to make this community better.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what I give shout outs to. You know what I mean? To the churches, the Divine Nine, everyone, and our many mentorship programs.
Yes.
Who are trying to be on the front lines of all this. Every entrepreneur.
Yes.
Who's out there trying to create businesses and make the community better.
Yes.
And for them, I say, try to do your best. Don't stop doing the selling.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Create nice signs. Don't just paint some graffiti on the side of your store. You know what I'm saying? Make a nice freaking sign and make the community look better.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So just step your game up.
Yep.
I try to do that every day of my life.
Yes, sir.
So those are the many groups I try to give a shout out to. Good brother.
Now, how can people be in touch with you?
I mean, you could go to my law firm website.
Yes.
We're in the process right now of creating the website for the not-for-profit. So it's all embryonic right now. Like I said, we just got to found out about not-for-profit status about a week ago,
yes.
right? So all in that process. I mean, I have my regular law firm site, WLAWLLC.com. That's where W for Williamson Law LLC.com. Of course, I'm on Facebook, Dwaine Williamson, DWAINE Williamson. I use Facebook as like a blog sometimes.
Yes.
Right. So put that information there. And then Instagram is Dwaine Will, DWAINEWILL. I'm considering doing a podcast, but of course, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And I gotta eat. I gotta pay these bills. I gotta take care of the family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So so many things. So that's why the challenge always is to focus. You know what I mean? And be able to do things correctly and then roll out the next thing in a finite amount of time or the finite amount of resources that we have.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So but yeah, and those are the main ways. Of course, my email is dw@WLAWLLC.com. So same as my website, but DW, my initials, for Dwaine Williamson at WLAWLLC.com.
Perfect. Brother, you did not disappoint. I knew you had a lot to say, and I knew I had to get you onto the platform, to the podcast. But I want to thank you for just sharing, man, how you became who you are. And you certainly can hear the passion resonate in your voice. So I thank you, beloved. I want you to continue nothing but success. And I know you and I are going to see each other around. We're going to have a chance to catch up and chop it up as to where you are with the great mission and the great work you continue to want to do for not just Trenton, but for Mercer County. But one of the things one of the things I think I know you're going to be able to do, and I hear it in your voice, we need this vehicle for job creation. And I think that the job creation is going to come from like-minded brothers and sisters coming together and thinking entrepreneurially. How do we create more jobs for our community? And I love where you're heading. So thank you.
It's a whole bunch of jobs in the community, man. It's called renovating these houses.
Yeah.
We need plumbers. We need electricians.
Yes.
We need pavers. We need roofers.
Yes.
A bunch of them. I see a bunch of jobs on Walnut and the Boulevard every day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And stuff. Yeah.
Dwaine, we're going to make it happen, man.
Yeah.
We're going to make it
we
happen.
are, brother.
Yes,
and Kevin,
yes,
thank you, brother. Thank you for inviting me, man. It's always a pleasure, brother.
And listen.
Just having allies like you, my brother.
You don't need to start a podcast, man. You and I can collaborate on extending this one.
Oh, that's true, too. You're right. And I always remember that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, sometimes you got to take advantage of those things that already exist.
Yeah, you're talking about...
exactly.
You're talking about not having enough time in the day. Well, I've got time in the day, and I'm here for you, brother.
That's true. And you're right. That's one of the areas I need to evolve in. You know what I'm saying? And you asked the question earlier about, collaborating with what already exists versus starting something new.
Yes, sir.
And you're right, Kevin. That's one area I got to evolve in, too. Bro, I'm definitely going to give that more thought, and we'll talk about that more, brother. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Brother Dwaine, listen, the next cigar is on me when you and I connect, but I want to thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Disclaimer to my insurance company. I am a non-smoker. My life insurance.
All right, brother.
Hey, bro, don't make my premiums go up.
I know. I'm sorry, man.
I appreciate that. I'm joking, man. I appreciate that, good brother. I look forward to it, man. I look forward to it.
Yeah, we're going to connect. We're going to connect soon, but listen, let's talk and text later on, man. Thank you so much, beloved.
All right, Kevin. Take care, my brother. Have a great day, man.
You as well.
All right,
thanks,
bye. Yep. Okay. All right, bye-bye.
That concludes another episode of The Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about any of our episodes, please call 609-731-9311 or email kevin@minding-our-business.com. We look forward to joining us for our next one. Until next time.